This week, Critiquing Comics, where we discuss comics submitted by their creators. Asante Amani is back with more Joe Mallard. Jason and I asked for more, and Asante delivered. Also, Adam and I discuss a dreamlike short comic called Dream Machine about Survivor's Guild. First, as always, I'd like to thank our patrons for helping to keep the show going. You can pitch in by pledging at least $2 a month at patreon.com/deconcomics. This is Tim.
This is Jason.
This is Adam.
And this is Critiquing Comics. Welcome to Critiquing Comics. This is Tim in Tokyo, starting out the first half here with Jason in Portland. Hello.
Good afternoon, Tim. How are you?
Okay. It's hot here. It's hot there. It's just plain hot, and the world's going to burn down. And anyway. Okay.
Let's start off on a high note.
Yeah,
we're all going to be incinerated, dying, screaming in flames. Welcome to Critiquing Comics.
Feels that way. Yeah. Okay, so we have a repeat entry here. We back in October last year, we talked about the first two issues of Asante Amani's Joe Mallard, Critiquing Comics 240, and I don't know what happened to issue 3, but we've been sent here issues 4 through 6, which are all pretty good. I have to point out the misspellings that need to be checked, but as far as the story, they were interesting.
I agree. So we got 3, chapter 4, 5, and 6. You want to start with chapter 4?
Sure. So chapter 4, so these are all pretty short, like 10, 12 pages apiece, kind of one-and-done stories. Issue 4, we see a guy who is playing some kind of online game that involves gambling, and we see a lot of sort of screenshots about AI wagers. Would you like to increase your snowblind AI wager? And then we see some kind of amusing fake ads that this guy is seeing during the game.
I love this. It really puts you in the mindset of someone who's just been online too long.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're sitting in the dark. They're essentially doom scrolling. They've just become like obsessed about wagering, betting on this AI warrior battle thing, which seems like the most hellacious internet hellhole that you could find yourself in. Mm-hmm. And you're getting all these ads for like the world's permanent boner pill, which sounds like a nightmare. And it sounds like he's also projecting this on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So he's sort of watching the action, but it really does a really good job of putting you in the mindset of just being so locked into your computer, and the way he's lit, it just makes this seem really unpleasant and like addicting. Like, like he just can't pull himself away. So I thought the author did a really good job of putting us in that perspective. One thing they started doing, and I don't remember if they did this last time, but they will use sort of like redacted blocks to block out some of the text and some of the eyes. I don't know. They may have done it too much. It shows up in some of the other stories as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a little bit less of that would have gone further. There are some typos in here.
I see your point. Yeah, there is a lot of that name blotted out, eyes blotted out thing, hiding people's identity. Yeah, it becomes kind of like, oh, this again.
And then when we see the main detective in this story, we don't actually get a good look at him. He's Maynard is often just in silhouette.
Joe Mallard.
Mallard is often in this story sort of silhouette, which I liked. He's not the main focus of all these stories, right? He's just a thing that comes in and blows into the story after it's well on its way.
And we do know who it is because he identifies himself by name. So, and the hairstyle, if you remember the previous issues, like, okay, that's him. So there's no mystery about who it is, but we don't see his face here. He's just a guy in the shadows for this gambling addict guy.
So often when I see that in my students, right, I think, okay, if you're not showing me faces, it's because you don't feel comfortable drawing faces, right? It's like Rob Liefeld and feet. But this artist is actually, he's very good at everything. Everything, I wouldn't say it's not very dynamic visual storytelling, but it's effective. It's very effective visual storytelling. Mm-hmm. And the art style definitely helps give this sort of vibe, this downbeat sort of hum to everything. So in some ways it's a little crude, but in other ways it's really, really effective. The storytelling choices here.
Now,
agree? Disagree?
Yeah. I think you're right. It is effective. Now the second one, issue 5. I struggled with this a bit. I couldn't quite follow the story.
You and me both. There's definitely a part where an establishing shot would have been really helpful. But this one shows our character like depressed and thinking about killing himself.
Yeah,
this is not a very victorious hero. Our protagonist.
He's depressed in issue 5 and issue 6. But it's a bigger part of the story in issue 6. But here, we see a taxi driver has driven him onto a bridge, and he's ready to jump off the bridge into traffic. And the taxi driver talks him down by pointing out all the TV shows he's going to miss if he kills himself.
This is a fun point. I like that. I want to know how Dexter's going to end this season. I'm enjoying the Alien TV show. I want to see it through.
Yeah, I want to see the new season of Only Murders in the Building. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, who killed the doorman? So then he's kind of hanging out with the taxi driver, who is then murdered, and then we find out more about the background of the taxi driver and why he was murdered. But somewhere along the line, especially that like next to last scene, the guy with the hammer, I was a little confused there.
That's where I got lost as well. I do want to point out though that the art, there is like a leap from chapter 4 to 5, where chapter 5 is just really, there's some really beautiful compositions and panels in here. That I don't know if they spent longer on this one or what, but this one is really, really effective. That opening on that low angle at the bridge, you can barely see the silhouette of the main character up there. It's just really moody and atmospheric, and it's just really effective. I found this one, some of the shot selections, there's almost like this wandering eye where Maynard is talking to this taxi driver, and we just go around the park and we see like bottles in the grass, or food on the grill, or bird in a tree.
Yeah, kind of aspect to aspect approach. Yeah. And
I just really liked that. It felt really moody, and it brought me into a time and a place. I think it's really strong storytelling choices. Mm-hmm. And then the character's assassinated, sort of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And these are 10-page stories. They gotta move quick, right? And our character has like this nice action scene, and they run away, and then I am kind of lost. We go somewhere, we talk to someone at a diner, and then I have a hard time telling the characters apart. And then we go to an apartment building where there's a hammer attack, and the setup of how many people is in that scene is not clear. There's someone going to a door and a hammer, and they turn, they cower, and then Maynard's there. There's no wide shot that shows everybody in that hallway at once. I had to read this multiple times to be like, everyone kind of has like the same body silhouette, and they more or less all have like shortish hair, and they all have the same skin tone. So I'm like, I have really had a hard time with the mechanics of that. And then the main character says, I swiped that man's license plate. When? Before you stopped the hammer attack? So that was one of those things where like, I don't need a whole lot of logic, but something about it to sort of turn me off a bit. But then the shots in the apartment, that aspect to aspect where we're just moving around, There's steam coming off the food. All that stuff I loved. I thought that stuff was really, really fun.
Yeah.
And it sort of ends on like a really sort of oddball note that I enjoyed. But yeah, there's a middle part where I think the assassin, someone's trying to assassinate the assassin, I think.
Yeah, that seems to be the case.
Yeah, but it's not set up very well.
Not
I will grant you that.
Yeah. All right.
But the character work of our protagonist is really, I think, really strong in that installment, where he's thinking about killing himself, then he bonds with this guy, and then he's investigating that guy's murder, and he finds out that guy might not be so great, and maybe it's not worth solving his murder. Is pretty much my takeaway from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that hammer scene, completely confusing.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then issue 6, like I said, it's the Joe's depression is a bigger part of the story, and it's keeping him from doing his job well. And this woman comes to him looking for her daughter, wants Joe to search for her daughter. Takes him a week to get off his butt and go out and actually start looking for her. And you know, the daughter pays some price for his laziness or his depression. So that's basically the story, but yeah.
Yeah. The art style in this is also really strong, I thought. Again, this creator is really good at creating a mood, a time and a place, and you sort of just have to hang on as they pull you through these little mysteries. But in chapter 6, the very first page, the artist, I don't know if this is intentional or not. I want to know what you think. The face is just not rendered on our main character.
Yeah, I think that's totally intentional to show his depression. His
disassociation.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
And that internal monologue, that anxiety, depression that's talking to him.
Yeah, it's like it's a conscience kind of talking to him. Like, you need to start the investigation, and he's just like sitting on the toilet looking at his phone. He's watching TV. He's web surfing apparently, and finally he stumbles across a clue online that kind of brings him to life a little bit, and he follows up on it and solves the case, but not as soon as he should have.
Yeah, it's that self-critical voice of depression that is telling you that you're bad at your job, or you should do this, and you should do that. I thought that was really effective. And our character he's unlikable / likable, right? He's trying to do the right thing, but he doesn't always go about it in a way that is endearing to an audience. So at the very end of this, he's sort of flirting with like homelessness, and he's not trying so hard not to be. So in some ways, he's punishing himself constantly.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really good. I love this series. This is probably one of my favorite independent comics right now. There are some typo issues in that very, I think it was chapter 4. I noticed a couple typos.
Paid spelled Payed, and the confusion of your and your.
Night was spelled. Yeah, so that stuff can be tidied up before you do a collected edition. I would, if Asante is listening, hire an editor or a copy editor.
Yeah,
you probably don't need an editor. Yeah. Just a copy editor to go through here and clean up some of the language, because it's really strong. I think chapter 4 was probably the weakest, the AI one. Or I'm sorry, the assassination one.
Because chapter 5. Because chapter 5 was a little confusing. Yeah, 4 was good, 6 was good.
That hallway scene, you could just give me an establishing shot of 3 people in that hallway so I know who is who. And I may be intentionally trying to confuse, but you don't want people to be so confused they don't know what they're looking at anymore.
Yeah.
But look at this establishing shot in chapter 6 of inside his office. I love that. That is really good. It would be really easy to make that too dark to even read, right? But the light source of the lamp makes it all work.
Yeah, and the bulletin board behind him with all the stuff stuck to it, and his faceless appearance. And the client there in shadow. Yeah, it works well. I was interested in near the end when he's kind of conversing with that voice inside him. He says, "Every private detective I know is depressed." That sounds believable. It's probably true. But yeah, it kind of makes you wonder why anyone would become a private detective.
Well, why does anyone want to work at all? Every job is stressful or has something. Yeah, being a cop or being a private detective or working in the post office or, so many things are stressful. But sometimes we are just compelled to keep going. Making comics has not been a good financial decision for anybody I know making comics, but we're compelled to keep doing this thing that we love or that we think we're good at. Or
maybe Robert Kirkman. Robert Kirkman's made off well, but everybody else.
Like he's doing. Look, off the record, he did call me to borrow money the other day, Kirkman. He did. He was a little flat.
And
I was like, Bobby, again, really? He lets me call him Bobby.
Okay, but yeah, this is a good series. So yeah, Asante, thanks for sending us more. We said last time we wanted to see more, and we got more. So
wait, does that work when we say that? That works?
Apparently, yeah.
Asante, we want 5 more by next year. 5 more original chapters.
Oh, you got to send us issue 3. We never saw issue 3.
Well, he wants us to buy it.
Well, we're could cheap. Do that.
We're cheap. I love it, and there's almost enough here for a graphic novel. Really, like there's probably 60 some odd pages at this point.
Yeah, it'd be a good collection.
Yeah, I think 100 pages is a great collection, Asante.
10 chapters.
More, do 4 more. Get a copy editor, kickstart this thing, and then you will make dozens of dollars. But more importantly,
that's the way to encourage him.
Yeah. You'll get your book out into the world and more people can see what a great storyteller you are. This isn't a book where you look at the art and go, oh, I have to have this. It's really like the singular voice and feeling of each of these pieces is so unique and strong. And I would just remind everybody that you don't have to be the world's greatest illustrator if you have a unique voice, right? The only place to get an Asante story is from Asante. And I'm just so charmed and I just love these stories, and I love the aesthetic and the vibe that he's able to create in these short little vignettes. So, yeah, really, really strong work. Just more, please. And other people should check it out, because if I'm impressed, I have a cold, empty, dead heart. Tim knows this. And I love these comics. These are great.
Yeah, I'll be sure to.
Where can we find them? Where can people give Asante money?
Well, let's see. I'm looking back.
Everyone open their wallets right now and give Asante money.
Okay, so bio.site/tech_Zulu. Okay, I'll link to that in the show notes.
Oh, dear Lord. Okay. So are they...
you need JoeMallard.com or AsanteAmani.com or something a little more mnemonic.
Are they on a space station? What kind of URL is that? It's worth Googling Joe Mallard, Asante Comics. And you want these. You want to catch an up-and-coming creator and make a difference in their career. And Asante, thank you for sending this to us. I will never get tired of reading these. I want to see the full collection. I want to have the collection on my shelf next year. Can we do that? So I'll buy the graphic novel.
Sure, yeah, I'd buy a collection. Yeah, this site only has like the original 2 that he sent us before. I'll have to look around for, or maybe ask him for a better link for the show notes. But check there, and we'll send you to the right place.
Don't feel bad asking for money for your work. It's you're going to get a pittance no matter what. You might as well ask for it. Make it really easy for people to find you. Everyone update your links, be hireable, have recent examples of your work. Because you never know who's listening or who's discovering your work. These pieces go out into the world and they escape your control. Someone might find this in a year or 2 and want to hire you or something. So make yourself available to everybody. I can't tell you how many times I'm on social media and someone's like, I can't find work. And then I start clicking to find their portfolio or find an example of their work. And I'm like, okay, it's been 3 clicks. I just got distracted by something else. Sorry.
I got distracted by a cat video. So,
God, please, I'm not that wholesome.
Okay, but yeah, definitely worth checking out. Asante recommends we go to his Blue Sky page. His handle there is Asante Amani. I'll link to it from the show notes. He says he's planning to kickstart his book later this year after completing 2 more chapters. Coming up, survivor's guilt on a weird dreamscape. Adam and I discuss Kai Lawrence's Dream Machine. This podcast is part of the Deconstructing Comics Network, where we're grateful to our supporters on Patreon. Patrons get exclusive extra content. Pledge $2 a month or more and get Batman 66 podcast Bat Bits, where we're discussing correspondence from writer and script editor Lorenzo Semple to producer William Dozier about his concept for Batman 66, and a 1967 TV Guide write-up of Yvonne Craig entering the show as Batgirl. At $4 a month, you also get our monthly show Silver Age Batman, where I'm moving through the book Batman in the 50s issue by issue, discussing each story and sometimes laughing at them, with a rotating second chair of Paul, Emmett, Patrick, or Kumar. Follow our Patreon for free and you can hear the first 2 episodes of both Bat Bits and Silver Age Batman for free. Check it out at patreon.com/deconcomics, and thanks for your support. Okay, we're back, and now I'm talking with Adam in Nagoya. Hello, how are you doing? Well, I know how you're doing. It's not that great.
Yeah, not that great. I'm on day 3 or 2.5 of a little bit of a COVID bender. So this is actually my first time ever being positively diagnosed with COVID. So I can't say for sure that I've never had it, but I've never thought that I had it and been diagnosed as such. So this is the first time that I thought, in fact, I didn't even think I had it this time, but there was a really high chance of it because basically somebody came in at work, a supplier of ours, they came to negotiate some prices with us. And then the next day sent an email saying, I just got diagnosed with COVID, so you might want to be careful. And I was like, I probably, I was far enough away from him. But then suddenly just a fever took on. And so for the sake of everybody, I went and got checked. And this is I'm finally in Club COVID 5 years after the pandemic started.
I still haven't had it. But yeah, listeners, you might want to wear a mask while you're listening to this so you don't catch it.
Yeah, or you might get a computer virus from this. Yeah.
All right. So this time we're talking about a comic called Dream Machine by Kai Lawrence. And it's an interesting comic that I'm not sure I completely understand. But basically we have 2 characters who are twins, Randall and Rory Fishwick, who they seem to be wearing dog costumes, although their noses actually look more dog-like than human-like, so maybe they're dogs wearing dog costumes. They're dogs from Black Sad wearing dog costumes.
It's hard to say because, even in just the first page, when you see him kind of jumping, he's wearing this dog costume, but then there's a tail poking out of it that looks like it's a different color. It looks the same color as his hands and face, so it leads me to believe that he's a dog wearing a dog costume. I don't know.
Yeah, so Randall is our narrator. He says he's a scientist, academic researcher, dreamscape explorer, psychic vision adjudicator, author of Enter the Dreamscape, Unlocking Your Inner Portal, former registered practitioner, and twin.
Right.
And his twin Rory has cancer, or maybe he's already passed away. And Randall feels responsible for this, or he feels that it's unfair, and he's going to transfer Rory's soul into himself so that Rory can live on. I got that much of it. But
I'd say you got the lion's share of it. That's basically what I gleaned from it as well, is that he and his twin have this sort of what's the word for it? Like not.
Like a symbiotic relationship?
Yeah, exactly. Symbiotic. So because they I think at one time they were sharing a brain, or like they're identical twins which cleaved off kind of late.
In the womb, their heads were connected and their brains were kind of connected.
Right. So there's a lot of different, it's sort of like that Cheech and Chong twins movie. I think that was Cheech and Chong who made that twins movie. Where they can feel each other's, pains and thoughts and stuff like that. But it also sort of, I don't know. Yeah, it reminds me of a lot of different things, a lot of different movies and things like that. But I gotta say, so for me, this style, this kind of comic, this is totally, I would say this is where you and I, Tim, probably go in different directions, because I sort of cut my teeth on this kind of comic, whereas I know you're more of like a Marvel, like DC kind of guy. I think you grew up on those. I think, but
Marvel, yeah.
For me, these were the kind of comics that I picked up all the time when I was in high school. So until probably 8th or 9th grade, I was reading Marvel or whatever was available, Image, that kind of stuff. But as soon as I got into high school, there was a comic book store very close to my high school that had a rack full of just like stapled, photocopied comics from people all over the Bay Area. And so I got to read these really cool kind of underground comics and, mini comics and things like that. And then just down the street, there was a bunch of record stores that also had zines and stuff like that. So I got really into that at that age. And so looking at this, the kind of gray effects and things like that leads me to believe that this is like, I don't know, it looks photocopied to me. Does it look like that to you? Or maybe not photocopied, but it's going for that kind of aesthetic?
Yeah, it's got some kind of maybe zipatone in it, or that kind of effect.
There's the PDF that you sent me, I think it's page 19. This could just be scanning artifaction, I'm not sure, but like in the top right corner, there's some weird gray, gunky stuff. Mm-hmm. So maybe that was just a bad scan job, or like I don't know what the final intention for this is to be, but like that page in particular, looking at 19, you can see that the lettering is like goes from like bubble, kind of like a bubbly font, to like that blocky but like loose blocky font along the bottom. And all throughout it, there's like cursive-y writing. This reminds me of indie comics from like late 90s to early 2000s. In particular, so the SPX festival in Bethesda, Maryland, every year, I think between 1997 and 2005, they used to put out like an annual, every year after the festival, they would put out like a book, like a compendium of artists that were there for the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. And it had a bunch of weird indie artists in it, and it looked a lot like this. I can't put my finger on it, but there's a couple artists in particular that I feel like this artist is really sort of summoning. But so sorry, I jumped ahead to like the art and style. I know we were still talking about the story, but yeah, I for that reason I felt a certain affinity to this comic book.
I also wanted to mention it has some like unexpected humor in it. Like where you least expect it, suddenly there's something that's somewhat funny here and there. Which, I don't know, I mean, I always like to have some humor and stuff. I don't like it to get super serious, but, well, yeah. Like, so somehow he needs monkeys. And so some guy is going to take the monkeys away. He refers to him as the monkey bailiff. And when he protests that the bailiff is taking away the monkeys, then we have this little chart. Monkey bailiff disarming technique, position 1, position 2. It's just like holding your arms up and then pushing out. And then we see him pushing Randall over. But yeah, I mean, why would you do that except for some humor.
Right. Yeah, and there's even a playfulness to the art style as well. So I do think, yeah, it's got humor tied in with like this kind of surreal kind of thing going on. And there's a very, very realistic looking monkey. Is that the monkey bailiff? Is that the one who... It's on page 29 of the PDF.
I didn't understand who those... I don't think that's the bailiff. So I think he's talking to his dead brother there, and there are two kind of monkeys, gorillas, flanking his brother. And at one point, we see look like a photorealistic monkey.
Right.
It seems to be, it seems to have come from a photo. Where earlier we saw earlier page we saw them drawn, but then on this page I think it's supposed to be the same one of the same monkeys, but it's a photo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, now that I'm looking at that scene, I agree. You're right. I think that this is him kind of dealing with the guilt of it all, right? Because he feels responsible for his brother's cancer because he was the one who lived a life of kind of hedonism, and he was drinking and using substances and things like that. And his brother was clean, but his brother's the one who ended up getting sick. And so I think he feels like maybe that connection between them is more than just this psychic connection. Maybe there's like a physical connection too, or something. I could be reading into it, but there is an actual case. Now, this is what I was going to say a moment ago, and then you'll have to forgive my COVID brain fog, but there was an actual case of Siamese twins. I think the most famous, the reason that they're called Siamese twins, I think, were, these twins who came originally from what is now Thailand, I think, right? And then they got married, and they both had different wives and all this kind of stuff. They became famous, they became rich, but one of them was like a miserable alcoholic and the other one wasn't. But I think because I'm trying to remember, I think they shared certain body parts and they didn't share others. So because their circulatory system was separate, only one would get drunk. But once he was drunk, there wasn't anything you could do with him if you were the other brother. And they did share certain organs. I think maybe one of them was a liver or a kidney or something like that. And so eventually the one who was the miserable drunk, he died of cirrhosis or something like that. And then the other one, once they excised him, he died as well, just because he couldn't live without his brother. But it was a sad story, and it reminds me of this a little bit, because you realize how, I don't know, how connected, in the case of these twins who are actually physically connected, Siamese twins, they're really, really dependent on each other. But even in a case like this, where it's these twins who are psychically connected, the way that you live your life has this impact on your brother, right? So whether it had that physical impact or not. Anyway, I might not be making any sense. This could all be just COVID fever dreams that I'm talking about, but it seems to make sense in my mind.
Yeah, and then the ending seemed kind of humorous too. I won't spoil it, but it's like it ended on a gag. Like, what? Yeah, which makes me wonder if this whole thing was intended to just be kind of a gag. I mean, I don't really know what the purpose of it is. I know that you said the same thing, but I don't know what the meaning of the story is, but it does seem to end on a gag. Yeah, well, I mean, I wonder if Kai had the creator had a similar experience to this, if he's a twin whose twin died or something. I don't know if he would be making such light of it if that was the case, though. But. Maybe, but it feels like kind of a specific thing to write a story about. Like it might be kind of personal. Well, and it could be, and then that could be kind of what I was just
getting at. Like maybe he did have, you know, the artist does have a brother or a twin who was affected by, you know, bad lifestyle choices by the other brother or something like that. You know, maybe they didn't die or didn't get diseases from it, but you know, when you do have a sibling who makes bad life choices, it does affect everybody in the family, in many ways. So it could be sort of a metaphor for something like that. I will say, and I know that you didn't want to give away the ending, and I'm trying not to give that away, but there is a part in the story where he's looking at a medical bill and it has really funny line items on it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yes.
So, based on that also, I will say that I would guess this person is either British or Australian, just from there's a few words in here that don't seem like North American.
And the medical bill is in pounds.
Oh, okay, well, that's a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
That's true. And it does give, yeah. Well, yeah, I won't spoil that either, but although it's not really much of a spoil, to be honest. So, what do you think? Is this going to be like a web comic, or is it going to be in print in like, you know, small press kind of thing, or?
Yeah, this feels like something that somebody would make copies of and sell at a convention, or, you know, in a record store, or if there still are record stores, something like that.
Yeah, that's the impression I got as well. It seems like it's made for that type of circle, which is totally the circles that I ran in for a long time. So that's kind of what made me like it. But
yeah, so I mean, I kind of liked this comic, even though there were parts that I didn't quite follow. But I got the basic idea, and yeah, it was kind of enjoyable. And it's a quick read. It's 40 pages, but there's not that much text, so it goes fast. Lots of full-page panels.
I was surprised how fast it went. I probably should have given it a second go-through because of how quickly it went, but yeah, I mean, you know, I don't read all the way through absolutely everything that we get, but this one was a really easy read for me. And even though I didn't quite understand it myself, but I think when I get into the headspace, like when I see stuff like this, the artwork itself is sort of abstract and otherworldly, so it makes me kind of open my mind up to that and not necessarily have to follow a linear story. Even though this one does, I more or less have a linear story, I don't necessarily expect that with these type of comics.
Yeah. Also, like in the lettering, there are some mistakes, like spelling mistakes, and they felt kind of almost intentional. I mean, I felt like they sort of added to the story, added to the feeling of it. Like that, you know, he's narrating this, he's writing it, and he's making typos. Yeah.
It looks, I mean, the font itself almost looks like a typewriter did it. So it does kind of look like a memoir or something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It very well could be that that's what they're going for. Because, I mean, the voice also seems like it's, you know, it's a person remembering, and it's almost like well, I mean, if you look at the very first page, you see a bunch of, you know, papers flying out of his hands or whatever. So it could be that he's like documenting this whole experience for posterity or something like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to do the introduction, to show him tripping and falling down and dropping all his papers. The very first time we see him, we can't even see his face. He's tripping away from us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's also a bit humorous. And then on the next page, the page that I read before, he's sort of tumbling down the page.
Yeah, so there's there's stuff in here where I can't tell if it's supposed to be alluding to something or if it's actually happening. Like, there's parts where, because it does get very, very surreal and like dreamlike, especially when they're connected to these machines, so like you can see them kind of opening. I'm talking about pages probably around like 17 through 20 or so, or something like that, where it starts to get really weird looking, like he opens up his head on page 18 and you can see him sort of coming out of his body and like cleaving open his chest and things like that, or his head, I guess. So all of these things, I'm assuming that this is happening like in a weird dream world or like a metaphysical world or something, and not like in this actual world that we exist in.
Yeah. Well,
and the part where he's riding in this giant dog, I'm not sure what to make of that. So,
and yeah, that bill at the end does say dream medical bill. So
yeah.
So yeah, it seems like this is mostly a dream, like that he would like to be able to do this if he could.
You know what it reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of Total Recall, where like you can, like implant a memory instead of actually going on a trip. Maybe it's something like that, where he's like, he feels guilty about his brother, so he's going and having this procedure done to like put his brother's memories in him or something like that. I don't know.
But yeah, it's worth a look. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a fun comic. Where is it available? Do you know?
I'll have to find that out and put a link in the show notes. I'm not quite sure at this moment.
Okay, sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. No, I should have checked it, but yeah, I always link to something in the show notes to track down these comics. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So this is a pretty interesting one, and yeah, sorry to get you out of your COVID sick bed.
No problem at all, Tim.
Check the show notes for a link to Kai's Instagram page. Follow us on Blue Sky at Decon Comics. On Facebook, we have both a page and a group. Those are linked from deconstructingcomics.com, as is our YouTube channel, where our episodes are posted every week as videos of a single image. You can comment on our episodes on YouTube or on our site, or drop us a line at mail@deconstructingcomics.com, or talk to us. Click the Leave a Voicemail link on the left sidebar of our site. Are you making a comic? Send it to us and we'll do a Critiquing Comics episode about it. Our theme is by J.B. Anderton. The music backing the promotion of our Patreon is Change by Jazar. Next week on Deconstructing Comics, Emmett and I resume our look at Jack Kirby's run on Captain America from the 1970s. Till then, this is Tim, and thanks for listening to Critiquing Comics.